Morning. What's going on? Let me see. Today is January 28th, 2021. Thursday? Thursday or Wednesday? Thursday. How you doing? You know, they tell us to vlog twice, maybe 3 times a week. So I'm trying this out. So I'll give you a little background. I'll tell you a little story about Rikers Island, the jail in Queens, New York. Well, there is a couple of depths and captains. You know, they kind of coax the officers into smuggling drugs for them. And if you don't do that, they get at you. You know, that'll be Deb Canty. She's from the Haitian crew. Deb Johnson, Jamaican crew. Deb Hill, I don't know where he's from, probably Jamaican. Yeah, he's Jamaican. Jamaican crew. And Captain Barrett, she works at HMD. She's Jamaican. You know, it's nothing against Jamaicans. It's just, I'm telling you the backgrounds. In the jail system, you know, everybody has their sex, just like the gangs. Everybody has their sex. So, you know, I didn't know this. You know, I was just oblivious to the fact. I just thought, you know, just regular working people and stuff like that. And then once in a while they would catch an officer bringing in drugs or something like that. So I just thought it was random. But it's an organization up in Rocky Island. So when they were saying, oh, it's the officers and the people bringing in drugs, I didn't believe it because, you know, I'm like, no, these are regular working class people, you know, they just come to work, whatever. But yeah, and most of them are forced into it. Most, not all. So I worked in upper 9 and lower 9, and two of my partners, officer, what is her name? I forget her name. I remember her name in a few minutes. And she used to bring in heroin. Because, you know, the Haitians, they deal with heroin. And then there was this other officer. She brought in cigarettes. Every time I come on post, she was the 11 to 7. I was the 3 to 11, 3 to 12. And every time I come in to do my tour, and she on duty, I would smell cigarettes. So, you know, I kind of figured it out. And the Officer Burks, she was in the dark side. I was on the light side. She transferred from the dark side to come to work in my area. And they was like, oh, Burks is coming. I'm like, and so what? I don't know this person. You know, but come to find out she graduated. When I graduated, she was the same thing. But I didn't know. If you wasn't in my class, I didn't know you. But she smuggled heroin, and you would never know. You know, when she come on post, she never really had nothing in her hand or nothing like that. But she was very adamant about me not helping her around chow time, which is like at 4:30 in the morning. She's very adamant about me not trying to control the guys and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, I got to do my job too. So, you know, she's very butchy. She's a butch. You know, she's lesbian and she's very butchy. So she thinks she can control everybody. You know, she used to talk to me like I was one of the inmates. I was like, whatever. And she didn't like that. You know, she thought that she can scare me. But listen, if I was scared of anybody, I wouldn't take this job. So anyway, but I used to stay on my post. When she used to run the front, I used to run the back. So after about a year or so of being my partner, I kind of figured it out. I'm like, oh, so that's why. She used to smuggle drugs into the jail for one of the, um, I think she was a lower dep at the time, or a captain, because I found out that Deb Johnson was the coach for the basketball team that Burks worked on. See, everybody's set up in a certain way. Like all the secretaries for the wardens and all the secretaries for the debs is set up to keep an eye on the warden for the girl crew, because women runs Rikers Island, and they ran it to the ground. I'm sorry, I'm not really a women's liber, but I was proud when I saw, a lot of these women getting these badges and these promotions. I was proud as a woman until I realized that they running the island to the ground, because they so busy doing the family business on the inside, because they family probably dealing drugs on the outside. They trying to get it into the jail. They so busy doing the family business inside that they not looking after the jails to take care of the jails. So the jails was falling apart. So they use intimidation. They use all kind, because they do it on the officers, because they tried it with me. And of course it didn't work. I'm like, if I'm going to smuggle drugs, I'm not going to smuggle drugs for you and your family. I'm sure that somebody in my family or somebody in my family who knows somebody who they can trust sells drugs. I'm not going to come in here and, sell drugs for you. I didn't do it none of my life. Why should I do it now? I mean, you're not going to intimidate me. So when they found out that they're not going to intimidate me, they came after me. So you can imagine different depths and different captains. So, coming after me. So, I was just trying to ignore them, but they was not to be ignored, because they would come after you when they can't get you on one thing. They would get you. I went 5 years, never been absent, never been late, nothing, squeaky clean. So they had nothing on me, nothing. That's why I started working there, because I think that correction officers are investigated to the hilt. At least I was. They investigate you like crazy before you become an officer. So, when I finally became one, I was very proud, because I'm like, I passed all that. So when I see other officers, I'm like, okay, they went through what I went through. They was investigated to the hilt, and now they're the officers, so they can be, trusted. But, sometimes it's family, you know. So anyway, when they found out that I can't be intimidated, I can't be bored, I can't be, whatever, they started coming at me. So Deb Johnson, she was on the rise. Deb Canty, she was on the rise. Now Deb Canty, she had a baby father. So he was an officer for about a year or so, and then she started getting him jobs working with the wardens as a driver. These women, they set up their people to keep eye on the higher ups, the men, or the higher up, or the people who's not in their crew or whatever. They set them up at positions where they keep an eye on these people. So her boyfriend, her baby father at the time, I don't know if they're married now, was a driver for one of the wardens of the jail. And whenever the warden moved, he would move, or if the warden would retire, he would get another job with another warden or another dep or something. So that's how, she kept an eye on all the men warden, or the people who's not in her clique. So I saw her coming. I'm like, this woman is up to something. you know then it had officers who used to move out the jail, transfer out the jail, so when they become captains, they can come into the jail. They can be captains in the jail, because it's a setup where, if you're in a certain jail, then you go to a certain jail when you get promoted, and so and so. So they wanted to all come back to 95. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's the best jail on the island, because they got services for the officers and stuff like that. But it was a drug jail. All the junkies would come to our jail and get their medication and things like that. So everybody be transferring out and coming back as captains. So I was partners with an officer. I'm trying to remember her name. And then she got transferred out, and then about a year later, she became a captain, and she came on post. Now, me and you partners for 2 years. You became a captain. Okay, congratulations or whatever. You think you knew me, so you think you would be talking nice to me. I keep a quiet house. I keep a clean house. Whatever. You gonna come on post and talk reckless to me? Bitch, I ain't listening to you. Not even a good morning, Officer G, how you doing? So I can say, oh, congrats on your new promotion, blah, blah. She dug right the hell in. I'm like, walk yourself. I ain't walking you. You're not going to talk to me like that. And, I know I was wrong. But she came in mad disrespectful, you know, talking to me like I was a nobody. I'm like, hold up, I'm the one that's holding you down. You can't say good morning. You can't greet me in a certain way. You know how I run my house. You understand? But just because you got a promotion now, you want to come at me? I'm not an inmate. What's your problem? I told her I'm not walking with you. Plain and simple. So I called one of my best friends on the jet. She said, well, she's the captain. I'm like, yeah, I know she's the captain, but why she got to talk to me like that? And why did she come directly on the same spot that she was an officer at? I don't want her here. So they do that. So anyway, so Deb Canty used to be coming after me all the time, and I try to ignore her. She would walk on my post. She keep pointing at stuff that she figured get on my nerves, this and that. She wanted me to clean this, do that. These women, it's like, these women bosses suck. They just, instead of using their power to, say, yes, I understood or whatever. Yeah, y'all understand you have to be forceful. You can't be friends with everybody, because then they take advantage. Yeah, I understand all that as a woman, because, I was a boss myself. But goddamn. So she was trying to break me down. I'm like, bitch, I see you coming. I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out who's peddling your drugs, and it was Burks. And, it was like, you know, because with Haitians, one thing about Haitians is they only deal with Haitians. So they got to get all the Haitians in their crew. So Burks is Haitian, Canty's Haitian, and Mickey, he's an inmate. He's Haitian. So they all dealt, together, whatever. And Deb Johnson. Now, Deb Johnson, it's a two-part story with Deb Johnson. One of her family, two of her family. One of her family liked this guy that liked me. She didn't like that. So that's one of the reasons why she came after me. The guy got transferred. The second reason is while I was in academy, one of her other family members or friend members was harassing me, sexual harassment, a female. I'm like, listen, I'm strictly dickly. I like men. But you do you. If that's what you're into, you do you. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Now, if it was a man who came after me as aggressively as this woman, he would have been fired a long time ago. But because it was a woman and because she knew and she had family on the job, they would just pacify it. So it came to a point where I had to report her to somebody else because we came out the academy and she still was harassing me. I'm like, listen, I thought y'all was born like that. I'm not born like that. So that means you wasn't born like that if you're trying to, turn me into a lesbian. So all your premises about, oh, we born like this. No, you ain't born like that. It's a choice. My choice is to stay with men. I don't care how much problems I have with men. I'm sticking with men. So anyway, I reported her to somebody else, and it took years, and finally they removed her, or whatever. But it didn't stop there, because she had family in the jail, and she had friends in the jail. So they would come after me, and then of course her girlfriend, one of her girlfriends anyway, come after me, and then Burks was lesbian, and then they all knew each other from the. So when people trying to get at you, because I be talking to my sister, and she said, everybody around there, everybody. I'm like, yeah, because they have to set up the people in certain positions to get at you. Even up till now, they still, they be, coming after me. Oh, I can't. It must be you. If everybody don't like you and everybody coming out, it must be you. I'm like, no. I said, first of all, they have to prove that I'm crazy. They have to tell people I'm crazy, because if I spill the beans and somebody actually believe me, they're going to be investigated. So therefore, if someone is labeled crazy or something like that, then whatever you say is not going to be taken, too heavily. They're going to be like, oh, she's just a disgruntled employee. Oh, she's crazy. She's certifiable. And they set you up like that because, they have their people around. Like they had Captain Barrett at the HMD, and then they had, and the doctor told me, the doctor came to me, because every minute they sending me to HMD. I'm like, I just came off sick leave. I mean, why you want to? But they was setting me up to get released on sick because of what I knew. Now, mind you, I didn't say anything at the time about who's dealing drugs in the jails. I kept that to myself because who am I going to tell? Who can I trust? I mean, most of the depths in the cap, most of the depths, have power, and they into the bullshit. And then some of the captains, and I don't know much about the wardens, but they have their people, the secretaries and the drivers and stuff, watching the warden just in case the warden is fucking up doing something, so they can hold that over the warden. Because I'm gonna tell you a story. One time I was one of the many times they wrote me up, and I put in for a transfer. Because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to keep dealing with this. Because when they write you up, they take 3-4 days away from you. That's hundreds of dollars. Because COs get good money. We get good money. And so when you hit that office, be prepared to lose hundreds of dollars. And the union sucked. My union member was Miller. Miller sucked. It's like he wasn't there because he always sided with the white shirts. We call them white shirts. He always sided with the white shirts. He ain't fighting for you. He just going there, okay, what is she being charged with? And then he's like, okay, how much days? And then instead of him, investigating or say he agrees. He go out there and talk to you. Oh, well, and so and so and so and so. He sucked. So they used to always send him to be, my delegate. And he sucked. So I was always prepared to lose days because it's like, how come every minute you're getting rid of? Also because they're trying to, make me look bad because they have nothing on me. I'm not selling any drugs. I'm not saying that to them. I'm saying to myself. I'm not bringing in their drugs. So they have to make me look bad. They have to make me look crazy. They have to look like one of these officers that, no, I was too good of an officer. So they had to dirty up my record, so to speak. And they all are into this. So when I hear that they closing down Rikers Island, I'm like, they should. At first I was like, no, but then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, they should, because the female white shirts in there is running it to the ground. Because Rikers is run by females. Go on the island. Most of the people in charge is women. They suck. They really suck. And you know, I signed up to be a captain too. I passed the test, but they didn't want me to be captain, so they investigated me, because when I made charges against the officer about sexual harassment when you're under investigation, and they kept the investigation going and going and going, so I wouldn't get promoted. So, I never got promoted, but I made money. But I say all that to say, when someone is after you, they place people in your life and around you to make it look like it's you. And sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not you. And people's not going to believe, well, how come she knows so and so and so? You telling me that she knows so and so or he knows so? Yeah, they do, because they want to make sure that you say nothing, that you're so scared because so many people is surrounding you that no one is going to believe you. And then, of course, they have the certifiable paperwork on you, so you're not going to mess up their stuff, because it's a family business, because they're doing it on the outside and then they're bringing it on the inside, because someone in their family coaxed them into doing it, or they've always been into it. And then when they came in the thing, they kept getting promoted. So now you got ways of moving around the jail, ways of getting to know people, talking people into it, or talking people out. And if you're not into it, then they find a way to get rid of you. So when I hear all this, what you call it, yeah, you know, I was watching the news when that little girl accused that little boy of stealing her phone. And I watched Gail, that's her name, Oprah's best friend. And I was watching Gail report. I don't call her a reporter. I don't call half these people reporters. But they was reporting the story. Oh, this white girl accused this black boy of stealing. Now, mind you, yeah, maybe that girl was crazy or whatever. But mind you, that lady didn't say nothing about color. She didn't say, oh, this black boy stole my phone. Or this nigga stole. No, she just said that guy over there, that little boy over there stole my phone. But Gail made it into a racial thing. That's part of the process. They place people in there to make it seem like, you understand? So I'm like, she's not reporting the news. She is pushing the fact that this little boy is black and this little girl is white, or Spanish later on they found. And it's a racial thing. It wasn't a racial thing, but they was pushing it as a racial thing, because they want to demonize white people. So she's part of the crew, you understand, that is going to push this the pro-black thing and the anti-white thing. Now, you working for white people and you trying to set up a white person. You understand what I'm saying? You want their money, but you're going to point fingers at them. Yeah, because, I'm sure it's a white person who owns CBS, but she's part of that. And that's how they do. They place people in certain spots, and then they be like, okay. So when she reported that, and everybody was crying, oh, racial injustice and stuff, I'm like, but the young lady never said or called him out his name. Never called him nigger. Never said this black boy. She just said that boy over there, that little boy over there, or that guy over there. You understand? Yes, she acted irrationally, and yeah, but you're charging her with a charge that was uncalled for. That's what people do to, that's what people doing to black people. So now you're doing it to a white person because they're white, because you mad that, you think she's getting away because of her white skin. So you're going to push a charge on her that was not good. So when the little girl came out and she said, what does me accusing somebody of stealing a phone have to do with racial injustice? And she was right. Maybe she wasn't saying it the way, because she's saying to herself, I never called him out his name. I never called him nigger. I never said that black boy. I never mentioned race. I just said that boy over there. It's other people was saying about the black this and the black that. You understand? And she was right. Now, me as an officer or ex, I looked at it this way. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Forget about, her past. She's crazy or whatever. But just because she's crazy, that don't mean she was wrong. Watch this. She said her phone got stolen, right? Later on, they said it was in a cab because the cab driver came in and gave the phone to the hotel. Now, the parents and the child left the hotel. And 10 minutes later, the cab driver came in and gave the phone to the hotel. Now, I don't know about you, but what Uber driver is gonna remember who left the phone and when? And if they do, what Uber driver is gonna turn around and be so nice to leave their job to come bring back a phone at the precise moment of when the argument was going down? So me as an officer, I'm saying, okay, the parents went outside, questioned the kid, and found out the kid did steal the phone, and now they embarrassed. So they handed it to a cab driver and asked the cab driver not to say that somebody gave it to him. Say they found it in the cab, and the cab driver was nice enough to bring the phone in for them, and they asked the cab driver not to mention anything. Me as an officer, that's what I'm thinking. But it didn't finish there. Then Al Sharpton get into it. So I'm like, lady, now you want to ruin somebody's life? You're not saying, okay, well, my son did steal it, and, I'm just going to return the phone. No, you want to make a big stink of it and saying racial injustice. No, your child was a thief, lady. They stole the phone. You found out later on when you walked out the thing, and you found out later on that the child did not steal the phone. The child stole the phone, and you gave it to somebody to drop it in there. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like, they got outside, questioned the child, and the child confessed, and they looked at the phone and realized they didn't buy the phone. And then they said, where do you find it? He confessed to her. And then now they embarrassed to go back in and tell the lady that they stole the phone because the lady was acting erratically. So they gave it to somebody to take it back in. That's what it looked like to me. But then they started, going to Al Sharpton and making a whole big stink about it. And then you want to investigate the young lady's past, so you can put more. You can prove to the, oh yeah, but she did this and she was arrested one time and she was okay, but that don't mean she was wrong about your son stealing the phone. So instead of you reprimanding your son, you're trying to get some money out of this nonsense from the hotel. And you want to put racial injustice on it. And it was just misidentity or whatever. So instead of reprimanding your son, you're trying to make it more better, and you want to press charges, you want to do this. Or you okay, you gave the person the phone to bring. to bring it back in or whatever, and keep it at that. Keep it moving. But you wanna, you know. So that's why when I hear all these Black Lives Matter on these protests and stuff like, okay, you Black Lives Matter, but you breaking into people's stores and all that rumbling and bullshit. And then, when some of these stars was trying to speak up on it, y'all get mad. I remember Trina was trying to say, well, my girlfriend's store got broken into, and, her insurance didn't get, yeah, and y'all got mad at Trina for even going against that. How dare you? Yeah, Black Lives Matter people in charge should have, went to these people and say, no, we don't want any looting or anything like that. Oh, sometimes certain things are needed. You understand? And then with this thing on the Capitol happen, you want to point out white people